According to the Pierce County Sheriff's Office, on the morning of September 15th, deputies went to a home on Eastwood Avenue East after concerned individuals requested a well-being check on several family members who had not been heard from or seen in a while. They went inside the residence and located an adult male and adult female deceased inside. Detectives and forensics investigators responded to the scene and discovered 2 more victims. On January 3, the Pierce County Medical Examiner released the identities and causes of death of the 4 individuals. David, 56, died from a stab wound to the chest and blunt force trauma, while his wife, 52-year-old Eli, suffered from multiple stab wounds to the chest and neck. Their deaths were ruled homicides. Their son, 28-year-old Shane, sustained a contact gunshot wound to the head. The medical examiner determined he died by suicide. Sue Bin Lee, 34, also died from a gunshot wound to the head, but her manner of death is still undetermined. Bolo TV reports Mark and Dia, his girlfriend, were found dead inside the home, while David and Eli were left in a garage freezer. A Pierce County search warrant said neighbors became worried about the family because they had not seen any of them since July. David reportedly regularly worked on cars in his driveway, so those nearby found it strange when he was nowhere to be found for several months. While looking through the home, detectives reportedly discovered a note on the fridge that said, "Time of death, November 12th, 1:15 a.m., and another that read, "Time of death, November 12th, 6 p.m. The sheriff's office received 4 different welfare check requests for David and Eli. Deputies went to the home on December 23 after one of David's cars was being towed away. Because deputies did not see any forced entry into the home, they left. They went back 2 more times in the following days, but could not enter the residence because they did not obtain enough proof to do so. The married couple's 2 other sons forced their way into the home on September 15th by removing an air conditioning unit on the 2nd floor, and when they made it in, they reportedly saw Lee deceased on the floor. Deputies made entry and smelled a distinct odor of body decomposition. The investigation into their deaths remains ongoing. Extend this story with suspense end. The discovery of the Vosler family's tragic fate sent shockwaves through the quiet neighborhood, but the mystery only deepened as investigators began to piece together the chilling timeline of events. The notes on the fridge, eerily precise in their declaration of time of death, suggested a calculated and cold-blooded act. Yet the circumstances surrounding the deaths of Shane Vosler and Sue Bin Lee remained shrouded in ambiguity. Why had Shane, who had no prior history of violence, taken his own life? And why was Sue Bin Lee's manner of death still undetermined, leaving investigators to wonder whether she was a victim of foul play or something even more sinister? As detectives combed through the home, they uncovered more unsettling details. A journal belonging to Shane Vosler was found in the master bedroom, its pages filled with cryptic entries that hinted at growing paranoia and fear. The final entry, dated July 23rd, read, "They're coming for us. I don't know how much longer we can hold on. If you're reading this, it's already too late." The words sent a chill down the spines of the investigators, raising questions about who or what Shane believed was threatening his family. Meanwhile, The freezer in the garage, where David and Eli's bodies were discovered, became a focal point of the investigation. Forensic analysis revealed that the couple had been dead for months, their bodies preserved in the cold storage. But what baffled investigators was a lack of any obvious struggle or signs of forced entry into the home. It was as if the killer or killers had been someone the Voslers trusted, someone who had walked through the front door without raising suspicion. Neighbors reported strange occurrences in the months leading up to the discovery of the bodies. One recalled seeing a shadowy figure lurking near the Vosler home late at night, while another mentioned hearing raised voices and what sounded like a struggle coming from the property in late July. Yet, no one had thought to report these incidents at the time, dismissing them as figments of imagination or the usual neighborhood noise. As the investigation progressed, a new lead emerged. Detectives learned that David had been involved in a contentious legal dispute with a former business partner over a failed investment. The partner, a man named Victor Grayson, had reportedly threatened David during a heated argument, vowing to make him pay for ruining his life. Grayson had since disappeared and his whereabouts were unknown. Was he the shadowy figure neighbors had seen? Had his threats escalated into violence? The case took another dark turn when a forensic examination of Sue Bin Lee's phone revealed a series of deleted text messages. The messages, sent in the days leading up to her death, were addressed to an unknown contact and contained vague warnings. "I think he knows. We need to leave. It's not safe here anymore." Detectives worked tirelessly to trace the recipient of the messages, but the number had been disconnected, leaving yet another dead end. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure to solve the case mounted. The Vosler family's surviving sons, devastated by the loss of their parents and brother, pleaded for answers. But the more investigators dug, the more questions arose. Was this a crime of passion, a family dispute gone horribly wrong? Or was it something more calculated, a meticulously planned act of revenge? And what role, if any, did Sue Bin Lee play in the tragedy? The final piece of the puzzle came unexpectedly. A local pawnshop owner came forward, claiming that a man matching Victor Grayson's description had sold a gold watch engraved with David's initials just days after the alleged time of death. The watch was traced back to the Vosler home, and with this new evidence, detectives obtained a warrant to search Grayson's last known address. What they found there would send the case into its final heart-pounding chapter. Inside Grayson's abandoned apartment, investigators discovered a hidden compartment in the floorboards. Within it was a collection of documents detailing Grayson's grievances against David, along with a chilling handwritten note. "If I can't have my life back, neither can they." But the most disturbing find was a photograph of the Vosler family, taken years earlier, with the words, "Justice is served," scrawled across the back in red ink. As the search for Victor Grayson intensified, a tip came in from a truck driver who claimed to have seen a man matching Grayson's description hitchhiking near the Canadian border. The man had been carrying a duffel bag and appeared nervous, constantly looking over his shoulder. Authorities launched a manhunt, but Grayson seemed to have vanished without a trace. Months turned into a year, and the Vosler case grew colder, but the investigators refused to let it fade into obscurity. Then, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A small-town mechanic in a remote area of Montana contacted authorities after recognizing Victor Grayson from a news segment about the unsolved murders. The mechanic claimed Grayson had been living under an alias, working odd jobs and keeping to himself. What raised suspicion was Grayson's sudden departure after a customer mentioned the Vosler case in passing. The mechanic recalled Grayson's face, turning pale before he abruptly quit his job and vanished. Acting on the tip, a joint task force of local law enforcement and FBI agents descended on the area. They tracked Grayson to a rundown cabin deep in the woods where he had been hiding for months. When authorities surrounded the cabin, Grayson attempted to flee, but was quickly apprehended after a brief chase through the dense forest. Inside the cabin, investigators found a trove of incriminating evidence: David's gold watch, a knife with traces of blood that matched Eli's DNA, and a handgun that ballistics later confirmed was the weapon used in Shane Vosler's suicide and Sue Bin Lee's death. Most damning of all was a journal in which Grayson had meticulously documented his plans for revenge against the Vosler family, including his chilling account of the events of November 12th. During interrogation, Grayson initially remained tight-lipped, but as the evidence mounted, his resolve crumbled. He confessed to entering the Vosler home under the guise of reconciling with David, only to carry out his meticulously planned act of vengeance. He admitted to killing David and Eileen in a fit of rage, staging their bodies in the freezer to delay discovery. He claimed that Shane had walked in on the aftermath, and in a moment of desperation, Grayson had coerced him into taking his own life by threatening Sue Bin Lee. Sue, he said, had tried to intervene, and in the chaos, she was fatally shot. Grayson's cold, detached recounting of the events left even seasoned investigators shaken. Victor Grayson was charged with multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. His trial became a media sensation, drawing national attention as the gruesome details of the Vosler family's final hours were laid bare. The surviving Vosler sons, though relieved that justice was finally within reach, struggled to come to terms with the senseless brutality that had torn their family apart. In the end, Grayson was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While the verdict brought a measure of closure to the case, the scars left by the tragedy on Eastwood Avenue East remain. The Vosler family's story serves as a grim reminder of how deeply buried grievances can erupt into unimaginable violence, and how even the quietest neighborhoods can harbor secrets too dark to comprehend.